Good afternoon, colleagues. I invite you to take seats, please. Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Jihan El Gauzi. I'm the head of Sustainable Environment Division at the African Union Commission at the Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Environment Department. I will be the moderator for this session this afternoon. I wanted to welcome you all to our side event about the launching of the new African Union Great Green Wall Initiative Strategy and 10-year implementation framework, ecosystem restoration, and livelihood resilience 2024-2034 under the leadership of our Commissioner to the Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Environment Department, Her Excellency Joseph Asako. Your Excellency, please.
All protocols duly observed. Today marks a historic moment as we gather here at the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit in Nairobi to officially launch the African Union Great Green Wall Initiative Strategy and the accompanying of the 10 years implementation framework for the next 10 years, from 2024 to 2034. This strategic framework is not just a plan, but a recommitted to boost our resolve of combating the pressing challenges of land degradation and desertification, a split that strengthens our livelihood, our environment, and our future. The launch of this new Africa Union Great Green Wall strategy signifies a pivotal moment in our shared commitment to combating desertification and restoring degraded land. Building upon the foundations laid by previous initiatives, this strategy embodies our renewed resolve to safeguard our previous natural resources and secure a sustainable future for generations to come. Recent data indicate that Africa is experiencing significant land degradation with dire consequences of millions of people. Desertification affects over 45% of the African's land area, impacting over 485 million of our brothers and sisters. The recuperations of our biodiversity, agricultural productivity, and human well-being are profound and far-reaching. The choice to launch this strategy at the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit is deliberate and strategic. The health of our soil and the use of diverse forms of fertilizers are integral to achieving the objectives of the Great Green Wall Initiative. By improving soil fertility through sustainable restoration practices, we can enhance biomass production and carbon sequestration, which are critical for restoring degraded land and combating desertification. These events underscore the energy between restoring soil health and advancing the ambitious goal of the Great Green Wall Initiative. The urgency of our mission is underscored by the extreme weather events and climate incidences we are currently witnessing in Kenya and across all the African Union member states. These calamities have led to a tragic loss of lives and have destroyed properties worth billions of dollars, further emphasizing the need for resilient and sustainable land use practices. Today, we are not only presenting and discussing the key pillars of our new strategy, but also advocating for its support and uptake across all the stakeholders group. We aim to explore diverse perspectives, consider best practices for domestication, and expedite the operationalization of this crucial initiative. Over the past decade, the Great Green Wall Initiative has evolved from a visionary concept into a tangible reality, spanning borders and transcending boundaries from the Sahara to Sahel to the southern African region and extending. Today, we stand poised to accelerate its implementation, guided by a strategic framework that encapsulates our aspiration and ambition for the next decade. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our partners, including the Pan-African Agency for the Great Green Wall, the European Union, yes, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, and all African Union member states. Special thanks goes to the Catholic Relief Service for providing the much needed fund for the development of this document that we are launching today. Your unwavering support and collaboration have been instrumental in building us to this pivotal moment. Together, let us advance this noble cause and ensure that the Great Green Wall stands as a statement to what we can achieve when united for the common good of our continent and the global community. This important initiative also inspired our seeds, what we call our island state, to also do, instead of it to be the Great Green Wall Initiative, is the Great Blue Wall Initiative. So all this coastal, in order to preserve our ocean, derive from the lesson learned of this important initiative. So in closing, let us remember that the success of the Great Green Wall Initiative depends not only on the action we take today, but on our collective resolve to uphold the principles of sustainability, inclusivity, and resilience. We need resilience more than ever. That's why when we look at our NDCs, majority what we submitted during the Paris Agreement, because of the impact of climate change, it was really our adaptations initiative. So I think we need to work together and mobilize enough funds to start preventing this type of deforestation. We are going to have a conference, I invite all of you, in Congo, Brazzaville, from the 2nd to the 7th, about afforestation and deforestation, so that we can really answer the issues of land degradation. Together, let us rise to the occasion and turn the vision of a greener, more prosperous Africa into a reality. I thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me give the floor now to my colleague Elvis Tangam to give a presentation on the new EU Green Wall Initiative strategy and 10 years implementation framework. Elvis? Due to Her Excellency's obligations, we will a bit change the agenda. So the Commissioner will be signing the strategy now so that we can continue and let her move to other commitments. we can come back to our agenda. So I will give the floor to my colleague Elvis to give a presentation on the new EU Great Green Wall Initiative Strategy and 10 years implementation framework. Elvis, the floor is yours.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elvis Poltangem. I'm responsible for the Great Green Wall at the African Union and for land management. So I'm going to give a very quick presentation of the strategy, give a rundown on what it is, and to provide a highlight of the importance of the evolution that has taken place over the years, provide insight into the process of development, present the vision, the objective, discuss the next steps, and then we're going to propose an award that we're going to present to uphold the whole idea of the Great Green Wall. So I think as far as the importance and context is concerned, you can see the Great Green Wall has come a long way from 2005 right to 2007 when it became a resolution from the heads of state, to 2010 when the Pan-African Agency was created, and up to today it has passed through different forms of evolution. When it started, the whole idea was about planting trees from the Sahel right down to the Horn of Africa. But today it has evolved from a simple tree planting exercises to sustainable land management and restoration. And it's now one of the best practices for nature-based solutions, adaptation and resilience of the ecosystems. So if you look at that map, you will see that it shows you the evolution of the Great Green Wall. The middle belt, which is the Sahelian belt, was the initial priority areas, and this was informed by the various drought and extreme weather conditions that took place in the late 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and up to today. These are some of the areas that are highly vulnerable to climate change and to the caprices of nature. But that is not all. When you leave the Sahel, you come down to the Southern Africa region, you realize that 84% of the Southern Africa region is dry. And as you know, currently, as we speak, we have a state of emergency in Malawi, in Southern Africa region because of drought. And apart from that, we also have extreme weather conditions like flood that seriously affect. So the Great Green Wall evolved from the Sahel, where it started in 2015. We had to start in the Southern Africa, and then we have other countries like Cameroon, Ghana, and Somalia that has come on board today, and they want to be part of this Pan-African vision for sustainable land management and restoration. So these are some of the quotes that brings out the clear idea about what the Great Green Wall is. As you can see there, it clearly states that as more countries joined the Great Green Wall, African Union saw the need to have consistent and coherent goals, objectives, coordination, and governance mechanism. So the Great Green Wall is about bringing together all the sustainable land management and restoration programs that we are doing on the continent. And we are so happy that many of our partners and member states are part of it. These are all the other strategies of the Great Green Wall that have been existing that informed the new strategy. You can see the harmonized regional strategy. You see there is the assessment of the UNCCD. There is the decennial priority program of the Pan-African Agency, and various strategies that we've gone through over the years. And here we're talking about the various recent focal pillars that have been contributing for the development of this strategy that have informed the implementation of the Great Green Wall over the years. And here we're trying to give you an overview of the achievements so far. The last assessment report that was done in 2022 by the UNCCD, it showed that out of the 100 million hectares program, we were on between 12 to 18%. So a lot have been done in terms of implementation. But one of the key areas that the Great Green Wall has done extremely well, which is usually neglected, is the level of political advocacy and resource mobilization. When we talk about achievement, we look at how many hectares of land, how many trees, how many, but we fail to forget that one of the biggest challenges is harmonization of policy. Policy harmonization is usually the weakest link. And what the Great Green Wall have done, have brought to the mainstream the challenges of desertification. It has brought political leverage and has galvanized partners to work together towards a common objective of a more resilient and a more productive and transformative dry lands of the continent. So I think that part of it is never brought. We talk about how many trees have been planted. We don't look at what has been done for us to be able to have a coordinated vision at the continental level for about 35 countries to agree to work together through a common vision. So a lot have been done in terms of achievements. But that one we have online, we have all the documents, this new strategy, we have some copies here that we were going to share as we go out. So there have also been evaluations that were done to look at what the Great Green Wall has been able to do over the years. And it's very important that we share this because the new strategy that we are launching today that was adopted during the last summit did not just, it came through, it was informed by all of this strategy and the evaluation that has been done in the course of the years. So the evaluation brought out some areas that they thought that we needed improvement. And some of these key areas was about governance, strengthening participation, partnership, addressing build on existing structure and addresses the issue of funding. The challenges of funding is there is funding, but it's not predictive. You cannot plan. They are based on projects. And project funding are short-term and not predictable. We need predictable funding when it comes to implementation of a long-term goal. So that is what this new strategy is trying to cover. We are bringing out clearly resource mobilization strategy and putting in place clear pillars on how we can have sustainable, continuous, and predictable funding. The strategy also look at the issue of what we call evidence and meta crisis. Already we are in a serious problems. We have mega trends in the world today that shows that if nothing is done, by 2050, we're going to have more than 800 climate-related migrants. And some of the mega trends that we have, you know about the climate crisis, the conflict linked to climate change. Climate conflict has become one of the main existential threats in our member states, especially in the dry lands of the continent. So these are all mega trends that inform the need for a new strategy to look into new areas that that are emerging, but also not only the challenges, but also serious opportunities of, more science, increasing technology, cheaper technology, and all of these things. These are some of the challenges that you can just look at the cycle of the challenges: environmental pressure, migration, conflict. By the time the Great Green Wall was created some years ago, the issue of conflict was not there. But today, climate-related conflict and climate-related migrations are the biggest challenges that are even hindering the implementation of the Great Green Wall and putting our member states under serious fragility. So these are all areas that we have been able to capture in the new strategy. You can also look at issues of malnutrition, hunger, famine, the issue of displacement, And also you look at the challenges of gender-based violence, which studies have shown that has increased as more and more of our communities are in crisis. So the strategy is really good for us to look at the background, why a strategy had to be created. There was also the issue of, advancing practices, partnership, and various areas that needs to be addressed in due course. So these are some of the key quotations from the strategies, talking about the need for system change, talking about the need for resilience. So the new strategy is aimed at to scale landscape restoration, bring in multi-stakeholders in multi-sectors, build on science, technology, and also build synergies and partnership. Monitoring and evaluation is very important. That has been one of the key challenges that we have had over the years. And then policy alignment and cohesion, and take various aspects of accountability, uncertainty, and all this, the foresight planning. We really need, I would call on all of you to really go through the strategy. It's a good document. It has a lot of information, and it's really relevant to what we are doing as far as we are involved in restoration. So the strategy is also linked to various key strategic framework. It's very complementary to the Agenda 2063, to the AFR 100, to the new climate change strategy, to the GRR disaster risk reduction, the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan, the AU Green Recovery Action Plan. So they are all linked. It's not a document in isolation. It reflects all these key strategic, and even some of our you consider, if you look inside, it reflects the PIDA and all of the ACTFA, and also it's linked to strategic frameworks with the level of the UN, the Sendai framework, the Sustainable Development Goals, and also what we call the Rio Conventions, the CBD, the UNCCD, and all of this. So we have about 50 slides, so I'm really trying to cut down. How many minutes do I have? About 5 minutes? It's supposed to be over. Yeah, I think so. A lot was done. The methodology that was used, we talked to a lot of our people. We talked to all the agencies. We talked to the youth, the farmers, the UN agencies, international NGOs, CBOs, and we had direct engagement across various sectors. All the sectors, as you can see there, it took us about 6 months to be talking to people, to be able to, all those who were concerned about restoration, about land, about all the issues related to land, ecosystem services, nature-based solutions. We talked to all of these people, so it's important. So, so the whole idea of the vision, I'll just go quickly on this. The vision is that by 2034, Africa's dry regions are transformed into socially, economically, and environmentally resilient and stable regions. I think the issue of stability is very important because land, access and use of land stands today as one of the biggest fragility factors on our continent. So when we are talking restoration and we are talking about state stability, it is not far-fetched. Because if you look at just one aspect of farmer-grazier problem, this in itself is a huge issue all over the continent, irrespective of where we are and beyond. So these are the overall objectives that I hope you're reading, to enhance the resilience of community, ecosystem, and economies in the drylands of the continent. So we have specific objectives that are many: investment, promote locally and planning, promote catalyze local ownership, promote policy coherence, develop, invest, and support economic and environmental infrastructure, and enhance the linkages and effective collaboration and ensure system. and enhance capacity building. So these are the strategic principles. The new strategy is based on a series of principles that are clearly in line with all the other strategy. Is Africa focus, is solidarity, subsidiarity. It's locally led, developed based on diverse partnerships. It's we promote transparency, intersectionality, and all that. Those principles that will lead to a more sustainable land restoration on the continent. So we also have strategic axes that we frame. We have 4 main axes, and then we have 2 overarching axes, which is monitoring, evaluation, coordination, and on all the various institutional arrangements that can lead to a better achievement. So in terms of strategic one, look, enhanced leadership, governance, and political commitment. Political commitment was always there, but now we want to enhance it, we want to boost it, we want to ensure that leadership, especially at the level of the countries, are fully engaged. The other one is co-design and deliver pathways towards a transformative restoration and resilient development. We have a strategic access 3, which is enhancing the means of implementation for resilient landscape and restoration. And then we have a strategic axis 4, which is leveraging existing initiatives. So there is a lot in the document. Then we have a monitoring, evaluation, learning, and adaptation, coordination, implementation, arrangement. So this document is in-depth. It's very flexible. It's not written in stones. It can be adopted by any project on the continent. It can be used as a blueprint for restoration by any of our partners. So on that note, let me thank you technically, but then, as I said, to really recognize some of our key actors, we are proposing a prize, Olusegun Obasanjo Great Green Wall Initiative Implementation Excellence. Because as you know, Olusegun Obasanjo, when he was the president of Nigeria, he was the one that brought in the whole idea of a Great Green Wall, bringing all our member states together. So since then, now that we are starting a new decade, we have a new strategy, we thought that it would be important to look at how can we, have a prize for restoration on the continent that we don't have now. So we said, based on the fact that he was the pioneer and the conceptor, if there's a word like that, of this, we said, let's look how we can honor his memory by developing a prize. That will be discussed. The second prize is Yakuba Sawadego. I think all of us in restoration know Yakuba Sawadego, the man who fought the desert. Yakuba Sawadego is a Burkinabe who really, in times of high vulnerability in his community, when villages were all being wiped out by desertification and drought, he remained in his community and he created some of the most innovative restoration methodology, like the Zai system and the Demillion. The Zai system is one of the main systems that is used for restoration and for soil fertilization to enhance production in the Sahel and in the drylands, and also the Demillion, or what we call the half moon. He was the one that brought all these ideas. He never went to school, but he stayed in his community, and his impact has been felt and will be felt decades from now. So we thought that it would be good, put it in front of all of you here to say, why not develop a Yakuba Sawadego Prize to recognize his work? So thank you very much again. Thank you.
And for being very long, but it was very interesting. Thank you. We can move on now to the next speaker. not the next speaker, because the next two speakers are not around. So I will give the floor to Joseph for the moderation of the Insight session. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you and welcome. So we're going to be going through a presentation session, and here we're going to have our presenters come here and give us insights as to ways of optimizing the African Union Great Green Wall Initiative as a framework for implementation and also collaboration around the restoration of the drylands in Africa. So my name is Joseph Falui, and I'm the Executive Director for GGWA Foundation. So I know everyone has so many opportunities this evening in terms of event to attend, but I'm so grateful that you guys chose to be here with us tonight. So on behalf of the organizers of the event, the African Union, the PAGGW, Pan-African Agency for Great Green Wall of Africa, the GGWA Foundation, ICRA, and CRS, I say thank you for joining us. So without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get started. So I'd like to invite the speakers to come on stage. And before I do that, I'd like to introduce them as well. So, and I hope everyone is here with us. The first person I'd like to introduce is Mr. Matthew Davis, the Regional Director for CRS East Africa Regional Office. Could you please... All right, and the second person is Dr. Juan Luis Restrepo, Director General for Alliance of Biodiversity International, CIAT ICRA. Thank you and welcome. And then Dr. Said Ibrahim, the Executive Director for the Pan-African Agency for the Great Green Wall. I'd also like to invite Dr. Aistrin Fotobong, Director, AUDA NEPAD. All right. Thank you and welcome. I would also like to invite Mr. Alphonse Muia, I hope I called the name right, the youth representative. And the last but not the least, I would like to welcome Mr. Mohamed Etite, the Chief Operating Officer of OCP Group. All right, let's just wait. Thank you and welcome. Please join us. All right, so before we get started, I would like to go over a few house rules, and essentially each speaker is going to get about 5 minutes. Once you get to like the 4th minute, when you have 60 seconds left, I'm going to raise my hand just to signify that you're running out of time. So if we will please stay with that. So please go ahead and sit down. I apologize. Sorry, go ahead and sit down. Without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get started. And the idea is that each of you will give us your insights, your perspective to how we can optimize the African Union Great Green Wall strategy to leverage the restoration across the drylands in Africa. So that's going to be a key topic that you guys are going to be talking through. And I would like to start with Mr. Matthew Davis, if you will, please.
Good afternoon. Yep, there we go. Okay, good afternoon, good evening. Again, all protocol is observed, and very much appreciate the chance to engage this afternoon. My name is Matthew Davis. I'm the Regional Director with Catholic Relief Services, CRS. And just want to say we've been delighted to be able to support technically and a bit financially the Great Green Wall Initiative over this past period of time. An African-led and owned strategy that we very much stand behind, and very much want to appreciate the African Union, but also the Shared Hub, Decision Hub, and ICRAF for their leadership throughout this process. From maybe the CRS or the INGO perspective, we really see ourselves as a bridge between policy research and innovative activities on the ground. In the end, policymakers need to understand how their frameworks are impacting people on the ground. So we do see ourselves as championing local voices, championing youth initiatives, as well as NGOs across the continent. And I think that, we want to be sure that we are providing some rigor to the monitoring, the evaluation, the learning processes, and feeding them back up to the policymakers as they move forward. And this framework provides us, the necessary to be able to do so. And we're really excited about that moving forward. And then a bit on scaling. In the end, no single agency can scale on their own, and it's not a competitive process. We are all trying to work collaboratively moving forward with whatever resources we bring to the table. But again, having that broad continental framework allows us to feed in, whether it be project-based or activities or initiatives, but the ability to feed in and to see the greater impact that we're having through the leadership of the African Union in this framework is essential, I think, for INGOs moving forward. And I think as we do move forward, we have a lot of, within CRS, but certainly within the broader community, a lot of regional and continental initiatives in play right now with various donors. And I think that the ability to have this framework for us to align our activities to it, to be able to feed in to the process and influence, again, some of the bilaterals, the World Bank, some of the carbon financing options that are coming online as well, to be able to feed in and really show progress towards this moving forward. So from our side, we are ecstatic. We're very proud to be supporting a little bit from behind, and very much appreciate, again, the leadership of the African Union with this initiative. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Matthew. Really appreciate the insight. So the next person, I would like to call on Dr. Esther and for the panel to please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Well, we want to congratulate Elvis and the team for the design of the strategy. Of course, the African Union Development Agency is the technical arm of the African Union. So AUD and NEPAD has a critical role to play in its implementation. The strategy is very much welcome because on reflection over the timeline that Elvis showed, in 2005, the Great Green Wall strategy was approved by the heads of state. Under the Environment Action Plan that was coordinated by the NEPAD agency at the time, which is now the African Union Development Agency. And over the years, what have we learned in terms of work relating to sustainable land and water management, and specifically on land restoration? We have a lot of initiatives across the continent, and the AUD and NEPAD is actually implementing a few of the very successful ones, including the ARF 100 initiative. Most of you who have been following the work on sustainable land management will know of the TER Africa initiative. Yeah. We implemented TER Africa for over 10 years, and it supported member states to put in place national investment plan building on the national adaptation programs under the UNCCD. Where did we go wrong in the implementation of all of these initiatives? I think a key aspect has been one of coordination. We have a lot happening across the continent, but scaling up is a challenge. And even just knowing what the different organizations are doing is also a challenge. Of course, we do have the Great Green Wall Secretariat that have been put in place by our heads of state. And I think it's imperative that we improve on the role of coordination. Yeah. So with this strategy, I believe we can recreate the platform that existed under the TAI African Action Plan to ensure that we have a better way of knowing what all these initiatives are doing and contributing to land restoration. The second aspect is about involving all the various stakeholders. The issues covered by this strategy are so central to the livelihoods of our communities and African people, particularly African smallholder farmers. So we really will, of course, appreciate this kind of platforms that we all have a conversation at the global level, but we want to see implementation at the national level, going and filtering down to the local level. So localized strategies to implement this program is critical. Bringing all the sectors, but also all the stakeholders that are important in implementing this strategy. Lastly, perhaps not lastly, but the other key factor for the success of the implementation of the strategy is consistent funding. We do have a lot of projects and programs, but member states would like to see more consistency in the resources that flows to them to support the implementation of sustainable land and water management programs in their countries. We believe that the various windows of financing that are out there in the global space need to be utilized to support the implementation of the strategy and what it reflects. So bringing the various agendas together, whether it's the climate change, whether it's the food system agenda, whether it's the humanitarian agenda, needs to speak to one another and leverage the resources and windows of opportunities that are provided through these respective platforms to support concrete action on the ground. Lastly, it's so important that we put women who are the face of the challenges of land degradation. We put women at the center of the implementation of this action plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very insightful. I would like to call on Mr. Mohamed Etiti to give us his insight.
Okay, thank you. I think my intervention will show what can the private sector, what will be the contribution of the private sector to this interesting initiative. For those who doesn't know OCP, we are a South leading company developing soil and crop solution. We are focusing on two main areas. The first one is developing site-specific and crop solution for fertility and soil health. There be, of course, improving the productivity and limiting deforestation and cropland expansion, and also increasing or combating climate change. And the second area is about all what we do in terms of development toward the farmers. We have been able to develop since 2016 various programs to support the farmers. We have been able to cover more than 3 million farmers in different countries, benefiting from different and various programs. For the sake of time, I will not go through this initiative. But with regards to this initiative, to the Great Green Wall, we are currently developing a holistic program, and we are at the stage of the proof of concept. A holistic program that is constituted with 5 components. The first one is promoting the value chain of the local crops within this area, like fonio, baobab, moringa, and other crop, orphans crops, because of the potential that they present in terms of value added and in terms of transformation. We are also fostering youth and women entrepreneurship among this value chain or along this value chains. And also we envisage to develop climate resilient agriculture in this area. We also envisage to come with the solution with the specific supply of input adapted to this area and to the specific crops. And for this, to implement this proof of concept, we are working with the local agency in Senegal, and it will be implemented through the establishment of farmer hub in one of the area that will provide all these various services. And of course, the next step after that will be the scale up in many parts of this great green wall in other countries. So this is, I think, that the private sector can play a great role in expanding the experience and also investment to contribute to achieve this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I would like to go to Dr. Juan Luis Restrepo. Please go ahead.
Restrepo. There you go. All right. No, great to be here. And first of all, congratulations. The way the new strategy and plan is framed, I think, is fit for purpose. And I really wish the AU efforts on member countries huge success in partnership with lots of stakeholders involved. Tiny context, because the size of the problem needs some cross comparison. Degraded land globally accounts for 20 to 40%, whereas in Africa we're talking about 65%. So the order of magnitude is almost twofold, and that's becomes even more challenging as 60% of the population somehow depends on that land. So this is a critical effort and restoration of land and therefore livelihoods, because they go together, is something absolutely critical. I would like to go 4 points, 1 per minute, so maybe I can meet your requirement. The first one is there are amazing innovations there ready to be scaled up. I want to give a tiny example that I really like, close to my heart, and it's related to trees. We think about trees in a very simplistic way, and we need to understand trees from their biodiversity within the species. There is, a species of tree has many different relatives that as we bring them and combine them, we de-risk reforestation efforts, for example. So it's within and across species, how species get along and how they match the ecosystems in a better way, and how they match the families and the communities there in terms of not only the ecosystem services they provide, but also other important uses for those trees. And we deployed a beautiful platform called My Farm Trees that is now working with GEF and IUCN, where with schools, with communities, those key seed suppliers, these mature, beautiful trees are identified and through blockchain, followed through nurseries, followed to the farmers that plant them in the very specific sites and get ecosystem payments for that. And those are ready models tested in Cameroon, tested in parts of Kenya in 2023, that are new tools ready for uptake in this effort. So that's the first point. The second one is about how we go for more co-creation, and we heard about this. We need to co-create, we need to involve governments, NARS, private sector, and communities to make sure that solutions are fit for purpose. And not only that, but how we bundle solutions. We're not good at that. We're very vertical, we have a silver bullet, we test it, and we don't account for the many things that get, that package well together. And ICRA, with you in this effort, I think in West Africa, have been proving that this bundling and this way of working is positive, saves a lot of effort, and maximizes impact. So co-creation is going to be critical. The third one is on investment. So it's land, food, and water transformation will only happen with significant money, and 90% of those funds need to come from the private sector. So public financing will never be enough. So how do we understand from sustainable finance, the ecosystem services, impact funds, etc., how do we incentivize and provide the private sector with the knowledge, with the tools, with the monitoring vehicles, etc., to incentivize their investment in restoration? That's going to be something absolutely critical. And of course, the next point is the enabling environment. How do we understand the incentives for communities, starting with communities, but also their norms, how they are acknowledged, different efforts, how we get better markets, market systems for ecosystem services, and how do we support the opportunity cost? Because restoration has opportunity cost. That means also investing in sustainable intensification of agriculture in other parts of the land to ensure that we still signal that food security will not be threatened anytime through these restoration efforts. So that's the four elements. So in conclusion, again, congratulations. And this is a beautiful way to align with global goals, with the three Rio conventions to support, of course, climate, land, and biodiversity targets. And the next step is to really ensure that governments, through their calibration of NDCs, LDNs, etc., really use this strategy and this plan in order to help things land on the ground where the need is. That would be it from our side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Juan. Really appreciate the insight. I'd like to go to Dr. Said. And Dr. Said is going to speak French, and Elvis, my colleague here, is going to interpret for him.
Merci pour les organisateurs. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est avec un très grand plaisir que nous prenons la parole au nom de tous les États membres de l'Agence panafricaine de la Grande Muraille Verte pour féliciter l'Union africaine quant à l'organisation de cet événement relatif au lancement officiel de développement d'une nouvelle stratégie pour la Grande Muraille Verte à l'échelle continentale.
Yes, so thank you very much, and I want to thank you for the honor to speak here, and I welcome this initiative by the African Union and for the organization of this important event for the launching of the new Great Green Wall strategy.
L'initiative est aujourd'hui reconnue comme un mécanisme avéré de gestion durable des terres arides et semi-arides, un catalyseur de croissance économique. C'est avec beaucoup de fierté que nous constatons une plus forte implication de l'Union africaine à ce grand programme africain. À travers cela, l'Union africaine joue sa partition et son leadership en tant que tutelle politique de l'initiative.
Yes, so the Great Green Wall has become one of the most recognized sustainable land management and restoration initiative. It's a catalyst for land management. It's recognized, and we also recognize the leadership of the African Union as the political custodian of the Great Green Wall to promote it.
Nous souhaitons, au-delà des discours, plus d'efficacité dans les approches pour une meilleure intégration et diffusion de l'initiative dans l'ensemble des régions de l'Afrique.
We want to recommend that, apart from the discussion and the talking like this, we want to see more implementation and the integration of all the other member states that are affected by desertification on the continent.
Nous sommes heureux également de constater que la nouvelle stratégie s'est appuyée sur notre plan d'investissement prioritaire décennal. Elle contribuera certainement à relever les défis et renforcer l'intégration des opportunités émergentes.
We are very happy to notice that the new strategy has also built on the Pan-African Agency's priority decennial investment plan, and we are very sure that it will go a long way in enhancing implementation of this strategy.
Une chose est sûre, nous restons confiants qu'elle marquera le début d'une nouvelle ère dans l'intérêt de nos communautés et de nos populations. Dans ce sens, nous avons l'obligation de joindre nos forces avec l'ensemble des autres régions afin de garantir une mise en œuvre réussie à l'échelle continentale.
Yes, so we are also very confident that the new strategy is going to bring a new era in the implementation of the initiative, and we are obliged to join the other member states and the other regions for the implementation of this Pan-African initiative.
Je vous remercie pour votre aimable attention.
So I thank you very much for listening.
All right, excellent. I think that brings us to the, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm missing one person. Mr. Alphonse, please go ahead with your insight.
Thank you so much, Joseph. And it's always extremely challenging to take the floor after very insightful and great contributions from the panel. But then I am also having a great sense of responsibility to speak on behalf of the biggest demographic, I would say, in the continent, and that's the young people. And within the governance of the African Great Green Wall Initiative, we've had a privilege to set up, under the leadership of Dr. Elvis, a Great Green Wall Youth Advisory Board that is now taking shape, and hopefully with support of us all, because I believe we are here to chart a way forward, forge a sustainable future for the Great Green Wall Initiative, support this Youth Advisory Board. Because here we are speaking about over 70% of the continental population, I would say. We have young people today connected than any other time in history of humanity. So if we can come together as young people from Southern Africa, from Northern Africa, West, here in East, Central, and create projects that are supposed to be, championed from the ground, and again also influence the policy from the international sphere, then I see this going to be an incredible way of us achieving the ideals of the Great Green Wall. Again, I would also say that I've worked very closely with Dr. Elvis, from even having bilaterals with governments on trying to push Great Green Wall to other areas of Africa, because, well, it started like as a literal wall of trees from Senegal to Djibouti, but what we are seeing right now is a mosaic of interventions spread all over right now, and it's not a line anymore. It's these interventions spread across the continent. If you fly across, you'll see the dry areas of the continent actually almost, unfortunately, covers all over the place. So if at all we have to ensure that we roll back these detrimental effects that the desertification is having to our people, we have to ensure that we are very deliberate in creating a sustainable Great Green Wall. As sustainability here means young people have to buy in, they have to be at the center of it. They have to support it. They have to be supported to implement these incredible, innovative projects they are leading on the ground. And at the same time, they have to be given platforms to speak about these projects they are leading. They have also to be given what we had from Auda Nepad, enabling environments. We have to ensure that when we are developing these strategies, young people are not only consulted, but they are given the privilege to make some of the decisions. Like myself, I worked closely with the Great Green Wall Youth Advisory Board, gave inputs to this particular strategy that we are launching today. And I'm so happy because we've worked with a number of consultants who are working on this strategy. And today we are seeing the fruition of something that we put in a lot of work into, something that we've really been championing from the beginning. And then at the same time, we're having young people being at the center of it, and actually women. These are the people who are on the front line of these effects of the triple planetary crisis, as we call it. And if we are to ensure that we actualize the ideals of the Great Green Wall, then these people can never be left behind. We have to ensure that we are felt on the rural areas, on the frontline areas, as they may call it, but again, in the boardrooms where decisions are made, and ensure that we have young people leading works on the value chains creation, working to also actualize, plant the trees. We are calling them here in Kenya the Green Army, of course. These are humongous workforce, let me call it. And then if we don't really add a lot of value to the young people, we are creating what we call a ticking time bomb that is going to rip off, the whole incredible work that the generation before us has done. So thank you so much. I'm really happy that today we are seeing this strategy and 10 years implementation framework being launched, and proud that young people have had a fair share of voice in its development. So congratulations to the unsung heroes, and looking forward now to the implementation. We want to ensure that we not only come out of here with yet another strategy, yet another document, but we want to ensure that we are coming out with clear, actionable outcomes, and actually a program on how to roll out implementation of this strategy that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was very, very insightful. And I hope the audience enjoyed the presentation. I think I learned a couple of things from the presentation. So thank you very much, panelists, and we really appreciate your time. I think we should take a picture real quickly. So, oh, okay. Oh, signing, okay. And please, a round of applause for our speakers. Anywhere. Any white space. Oh, I think Dr. Fred already signed.
Oh, you signed it. Before Sylvia. Oh, no, we have
Mr. Mohammed, you haven't signed it. Not yet. All right, so let's just, oh, everybody signed already? Okay. Well, let's just take a picture of this one. So, please rise.